They called it a vote of preservation, but we all knew what it really was. Exile, a clean purge of the human stain from the shining heart of the Galactic Council. They didn't even bother to hide the sneer when the decree was read. I was there. I heard every damn word. Effective immediately, the species designated Homo sapiens is hereby expelled from Council space. All member planets will enforce this resolution. Non-compliance will be met with sanctions, or force. No appeals, no negotiation, no trial, just gone. I clenched my fists so hard the knuckles turned white. Beside me, Commander Jack Terran, my old war captain, spat on the marble floor of the Hall of Unity. "They think they can throw us out like trash," he growled under his breath. "They'll regret this." He was right. And deep down, I already knew we would never come crawling back. We had a month, 30 days to pack up everything, evacuate our colonies, abandon the trade routes we'd built. 30 days to watch the Council fleets close in around Earth and every human world, blockade in place. For most, the Outer Rim was a graveyard, fringe sectors riddled with pirate kings, lawless war bands, failed colonies, and old war zones where the Council didn't care to patrol anymore. Perfect for exiles who had nothing left to lose. Our armada wasn't much by Council standards. Old carriers, retrofitted freighters, a few heavy cruisers patched together from scrap. But every man and woman aboard had one thing the Council would never understand: rage. Pure, burning rage. 3 months into exile, survival was hell. Fuel shortages, broken supply chains, alien raiders picking off our transports, disease outbreaks on the civilian barges. I buried more friends in those first weeks than I had in the entire Terran-Drassen War, and I fought in the trenches of that one. But something changed in the 4th month. We stopped running, we adapted, we learned the shadows of the Outer Rim, and we fought back. It started with a small mining outpost orbiting a gas giant in Sector Theta 92. The local warlord had been enslaving human settlers, forcing them to dig for isotopes. We hit him fast and brutal. No negotiation. I led the assault squad myself. We breached the compound in vacuum suits, airlocks sealed behind us, shot our way through a dozen mercenaries. When we reached the inner chambers, the warlord was already on his knees, blubbering in some guttural dialect. I didn't let him finish his plea. 1 round between the eyes. No mercy, no prisoners. The message spread fast across the rim. Humanity fights back. By the end of the 1st year, we weren't refugees anymore. We were conquerors. We seized refineries, shipyards, arms caches. We formed alliances with the old Rim clans, the ones the Council had abandoned decades ago. Jack Terran became warlord of the Iron Pact. I commanded the 7th Strike Fleet. Our banner, a black star split by a crimson blade, flew over dozens of systems. And still the Council ignored us. Fools. The turning point came at Karnas Reach. The Reach was a strategic trade corridor. Council-aligned guilds still used it to move weapons and luxuries to the inner sectors. When we blockaded Karnas, the Council finally noticed. They sent a peace envoy, a pompous delegate flanked by 2 smug Praetorian guards. I met him aboard the Dreadnought Vanguard. He spoke in that sickly sweet diplomatic tone. "Captain Hale, surely we can find a peaceful resolution to this misunderstanding. Humanity would be wise not to overreach." I leaned forward across the table, stared him dead in the eye. "This isn't a misunderstanding," I said. "You banished us. You made us outlaws. Now we're taking what you left behind." He opened his mouth to protest, but I cut him off. "Tell your council this. The Outer Rim belongs to us now, and if they come for it, they'll find out what exile forged in us." I ordered his escort ship stripped of weapons and sent him limping back to Council space. War was inevitable now, and we were ready. By the time the Council envoy's ship jumped back toward core space, every captain in the fleet knew what was coming. The outer rim would burn, and we'd be the ones lighting the fires. The first real test came faster than expected. Less than 2 weeks after the incident at Carnus Reach, our scouts picked up chatter. A council task force had crossed the boundary into Sector Delta 14. Not peacekeepers, warships. 3 heavy cruisers, 6 escorts, and a battle carrier flying the Council's gold and silver sigil. A clear message. They weren't coming to negotiate. They were coming to crush us. We didn't run. I met with Jack Terran and the other warlords aboard the Vanguard. The War Council was brief. No time for politics out here. Every man in the room had bled to hold what we'd built. Terran's voice was gravel as he spoke. They think they're still fighting the same scattered exiles they banished. They have no damn clue what we've become. I stood. We hit them first. No drawn-out standoff, no formal declarations. We tear them apart before they can dig in. There were no objections. 2 days later, my fleet, a patchwork of Terran-built destroyers, captured Rim corvettes, and a pair of old Martian dreadnoughts, dropped out of FTL in the asteroid fields of Delta 14. The Council task force was moving slow, cautious. They expected to be the hunters. They didn't realize we owned this sector now. We hit them at dawn cycle. The asteroids gave perfect cover. We used grav hooks and drifted in cold, no engine burns. At point-blank range, the fleet came to life. I gave the order. All ships, full assault. No quarter. Space lit up with the first volley. The lead council cruiser, Resolute Dawn, took a railgun slug through its midsection, atmosphere venting, hull splitting like a tin can. Fighter wings screamed through the debris, strafing escorts. Boarding pods launched toward the crippled carrier. I was in the Vanguard's command chair, fists gripping the armrests as the battle unfolded. I won't lie. They hit back hard. The Council warships were sleek, advanced, and disciplined. We lost 2 corvettes in the first 10 minutes, and the Argonaut, one of our best frigates, went up in a fireball after a plasma torpedo barrage. But our crews were fighting for something no Council ship ever could: vengeance. I led the boarding assault on the Council carrier personally. We breached through the hangar deck, close quarters hell. Blaster fire filled the air. Council Marines in polished white armor tried to hold the line. I shot 3 before I even cleared the first bulkhead. My team pushed forward room by room. Blood slicked the floors. When we finally reached the bridge, the Council captain, some smug noble from the core worlds, stood with a plasma pistol shaking in his grip. He tried to surrender. I shot him in the throat. By the time the dust settled, the Council task force was annihilated. We'd taken losses. Good men, too many. But we held the sector. More importantly, we'd sent a message loud enough the whole galaxy would hear it. Humanity wasn't broken. We were just getting started. Over the next 6 months, the Rim campaign accelerated. Every week, another pirate lord or rogue governor either swore loyalty to the Pact or got wiped out. Terran's forces pushed into Sigma Cluster. I spearheaded strikes into the old abandoned shipyards at Erebus Belt. We captured tech the Council hadn't seen in decades. Dark Age weaponry, forbidden grav drives, relic AI cores. We weren't just scavengers anymore. We were building something new, something the Council would come to fear. Word spread fast. Human freighter crews, mercenaries, old spacer veterans who'd been scraping by since the exile started to arrive at our strongholds. Desperate, angry, ready to fight. They brought ships, weapons, knowledge of Rim space. Before long, we had a fleet worthy of the name. Of course, it couldn't last forever without a bigger pushback. The Council finally woke up after our raids into Nyros Arc, a critical hyperlane junction they still relied on. They sent a fleet, the 3rd Praetorian Armada, 20 warships, 2 dreadnoughts, thousands of elite Marines. We knew we couldn't match them head-on. Terran and I spent nights poring over star charts, tactical feeds, fleet strengths. They want a decisive battle, I said, tapping the hollow map. They think one hammer strike will shatter us. Terran nodded grimly. Then we don't give them one. We set the trap at Valkyr Drift, a shattered moon field with unstable grav wells and ancient mining platforms. Perfect hunting ground for fast attack squadrons. I split our forces, baited the Praetorians in with what looked like a small convoy. Once they committed, our ambush wings hit them from every angle. The battle raged for hours. We lost the Orion's Fist, one of our heavy cruisers, in the opening exchange, torn apart by dreadnought turrets. But the drift worked in our favor. The council ships couldn't maneuver in the debris fields. Our gunships darted through the wreckage like wolves. I led the strike that crippled their flagship, Triumvirate. 3 torpedo volleys to the engine core. The explosion turned night into day. In the end, only 4 council ships limped out of Valkyr Drift, and the legend of humanity's Outer Rim Rebellion was born. But victories came at a price. I walked the casualty lists after the battle. Name after name of good men who wouldn't be coming home. I felt every one of them like a blade to the gut. Taran found me in the mess hall later, bottle of black market whiskey in one hand, datapad in the other. Council won't ignore this anymore, he said. Next time it won't be a fleet, it'll be a crusade. I looked up, voice cold. Then let them come. We'll burn their damn crusade down to the bones. As the second year of exile dawned, everything changed. We weren't scattered warbands anymore. We were a nation, an army, an empire forged in the dark. The Outer Rim wasn't just where we survived. It was ours now. And somewhere deep in the core, the Council was finally beginning to understand the monster they'd created. In the third year of exile, the Council finally admitted the truth, not in words, but in steel. We intercepted the transmission ourselves, encrypted command orders to the High Praetor of the core fleets. Initiate Operation Iron Dawn, full mobilization, no quarter, no treaties, Outer Rim to be pacified by force. They'd finally stopped pretending. No more envoys, no more hollow offers of negotiation. Now it was war, open and total. The first blow came at Erebus Gate. We'd built Erebus into a fortress, an old grav station turned staging point for the Rim fleets. From there, we controlled the key hyperlane routes into the Council's frontier sectors. The Council knew it, too. Their Iron Dawn fleet struck without warning. 30 ships, including 4 siege platforms, planet killers, the kind they hadn't used since the old Unification Wars. I was already aboard the Vanguard when the first sensor pings came in. Multiple FTL signatures, vector inbound, fleet strength, massive. I stood, voice calm despite the fire racing in my veins. Sound battle stations, all wings launch, no one retreats. Commander Rorden, a hard bastard from the Martian brigades, glanced at me. They outgun us, Captain. I met his eyes. Good. That means they'll fight. The battle for Erebus was the bloodiest we'd faced. Their siege platforms hammered the outer stations. Shattered habitats drifted through space, civilians still aboard. No warnings, no surrender calls, just slaughter. We answered in kind. Strike teams hit the platforms from inside, boarding pods drilling through armor plating. I led one of the first waves. Inside, it was a nightmare. Council Marines in full shock armor, auto turrets sweeping the corridors, close quarters, blades, pistols, fists. I lost half my squad taking the reactor core. We blew that bastard platform sky high, but Erebus cost us. When the smoke cleared, the outer defenses were rubble. A third of our fleet was gone. We held the gate, barely, but the Council knew now. We could be hurt. That was the shift. No more raids, no more skirmishes. Now it was war on a galactic scale. I met with Terran and the Pact warlords at Ironhold Station, deep in the Karsus Vale. The holomap glowed red, battlefronts stretching across dozens of sectors. Every rim stronghold under siege. Civilian colonies caught in the crossfire. Terran's face was drawn, gaunt. We hadn't slept in days. "They want to bleed us out," he said. "Grind us down planet by planet." He looked at me across the table. "We need to strike first." It wasn't bravado. He was right. Defensive wars never win, not out here, and I knew exactly where to hit them. Arcanus Prime, a fortress world just inside the Council frontier. Fuel depots, shipyards, command hubs, the logistical heart of Iron Dawn. If we could burn it, we'd cripple their offensive for months. But it was suicide. Everyone said so, which meant it was perfect. I handpicked the assault force, fast attack squadrons, black ops teams, cloaked corvettes, no grand fleet, just ghosts with sharp teeth. We jumped in under cover of a solar flare, fried half our sensors, but blinded the Council's too. Perfect chaos. Arcanus was defended by 2 heavy battle stations and a defense grid that would have shredded any normal assault. We weren't normal. My strike team slipped through the lower orbital rings, latched onto the primary fuel array. Silent insertion. No alarms. Inside the complex, it was a labyrinth of fire suppression systems, reactor cores, automated drones. We planted charges on every critical node. Then I sent one message to Terran. "Light the match." The detonation was visible from orbit. Half the planet's fuel reserves gone in an instant, secondary explosions tearing through shipyards and depots. Council comms went wild, panic, confusion, orders overlapping. By the time their fleets mobilized, we were already gone. Ghosts back into the black. Arcanus burned for weeks, and just like that, the Council's offensive stalled. But victories bred consequences. The Council responded with something worse than fleets. Black orders. We started hearing whispers. Units not officially on any fleet rosters. Kill squads. Assassins. Political enforcers. They didn't fight on the front lines. They came for our leaders. It started with the death of Warlord Dren Halcor, found poisoned in his own chambers at Karnus Stronghold. Then sabotage on Drift Station Kilo. Reactor breach. Thousands dead. Rumors of disappearances. Captains gone without a trace. Entire Rim families targeted. I wasn't immune. 3 assassination attempts in 1 month. First was a sniper drone at Valkyr Forge. Missed me by a hair. Second, a rigged airlock aboard the Vanguard. Only spotted because Rorden's team swept it first. Third, a blade in the dark during a meeting on Rim Bastion. The assassin got close. Too close. I still feel the scar across my ribs. But he didn't walk away. I changed after that. Paranoia? Maybe. But justified. I stopped sleeping in the same quarters twice. Doubled my personal guard. Men I trusted with my life, and no one else. And I carried a blade on me at all times. Not ceremonial, practical. The Council had forced us to become predators. Now they'd see what that really meant. Meanwhile, something else was shifting. Across the Rim, human colonies that had barely clung to life were rallying. Civilians building shipyards from scrap. Engineers crafting weapons out of whatever they could find. Whole Rim clans, even alien mercenary bands, pledging to the pact. Not because they loved us, because they hated the Council more. A message came in one night. Priority Channel. A battered freighter captain from Nyros Fringe. His voice was raw over the comms. "You don't know me, Captain Hale. But my people are ready to fight. Council bastards torched our homes, killed our families. You give us ships, we'll give you blood." I sat there for a long time after the transmission ended. This was bigger than vengeance now, bigger than exile. This was becoming a revolution. But revolutions have a price. By year's end, the Council had unleashed their final play. The Legion. Genetically enhanced shock troops. No mercy, no fear. Built in vats. Programmed to kill. Our scouts barely escaped the first encounter. An outpost on Dracor Moon wiped clean in hours. No survivors. I met with Terran one last time before we launched the counterstrike. He looked old, not in years, in the weight of it all. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, slid one across the table. "This war's changing," he said. "Getting darker." I nodded. "Good. That's where we thrive." We toasted. Then we prepared for the bloodiest chapter yet, because the Council had one final truth to learn. You can exile humanity, you can hunt us, you can burn our worlds, but you will never break us. And now, we were coming for them. The first time I saw one of the Legion up close, I understood why even the Rim warlords whispered their name. It was on Varnock Station, a mining outpost we'd taken a month prior. I'd gone down to oversee fortification work, standard inspection, nothing fancy. Then the alarms screamed. Legion strike pod, black, coffin-shaped, slammed straight through the station's upper ring. Breach teams barely sealed the decks in time. I was already moving, weapon in hand. I found them in section C12, 6 of them. Humanoid, but wrong. 7 feet tall, bone-white armor fused to their flesh. No eyes, just black visors. Movement smooth, efficient, and fast. Too fast. Our first squad hit them head-on. Plasma fire should have torn them apart. Should have. They kept coming. Blades out. Some kind of monomolecular alloy. I watched a Legion soldier carve through 3 of my men before they could blink. We adapted. Had to. EMP charges, concussive rounds, grenades, anything to break their momentum. In the end, we dropped them. Barely. One lay sprawled against the bulkhead, half its head gone. I pried open the helmet. Not a man. Not anymore. Spliced genes, machine implants, neural overrides. A weapon in human skin. Later, in the debrief, Terran asked me one question. Can we beat them? I looked him dead in the eye. We have to, or this war's already lost. From that point on, every battle was a new kind of hell. Legion units led every Council assault. Sargus Drift fell in 2 days. No survivors. Karnas Outpost, overrun. Our best ground units gutted. Neros Bastion, held, but barely. We adapted as fast as we could. Hail Doctrine, they called it. Unofficial. But every Rim captain followed it. Don't meet the Legion head-on. Bleed them, trap them, kill their handlers, then burn what's left. But while we fought the Legion, something else was happening. Quiet beneath the chaos. I started noticing it in the reports. Civilian uprisings, Council-aligned worlds, not in the Rim but deeper, core-adjacent sectors, rich worlds, supposedly loyal. Now, riots, sabotage, entire Council governors going dark. I intercepted one of the broadcasts, smuggled out of Dranos Prime. The Council promised protection. Instead, they send monsters. Our sons are drafted. Our homes bombed. We will not be cattle. We will fight. I forwarded it to Terran. He just smiled that wolf's grin. They're cracking? That's when we made the boldest move yet. Operation Black Star. For months, we'd been gathering intel on the Council's main comms relays, the hubs that linked their fleets, their core worlds. Hit them hard enough, and we could blind their entire war effort. Target, Argent Spire. A deep space relay station in the Argent Cloud, massive, shielded, guarded by half a battle fleet. Impossible, they said, which made it perfect. We assembled a ghost fleet, no capital ships, no signatures, cloaked runners, stealth corvettes, silent breachers. I led it myself. Couldn't trust anyone else with this one. The approach was a nightmare. Gravitic storms, sensor ghosts, minefields. We lost 2 ships just navigating the outer cloud. Didn't stop us. We breached at 0 hour. Boarding pods drilled straight into the Spire's lower decks. Fighting deck to deck, system to system, Legion units were there too. I faced one in the relay core, close quarters. It took 3 grenades and half a clip to put it down. In the end, we planted the charges ourselves. 17 minutes later, the Argent Spire was a cloud of molten wreckage. Council comms blacked out across half the sector. Taran's message came through an hour after. Beautiful work. They'll feel that one for months. But victory had a price. 2 days later, we got word. Ironhold Station, our main RIM command center, under siege. Not a standard fleet. Council sent the 1st Legion battle group. I raced back aboard the Vanguard. No time for prep, no time for clever traps, just war. By the time we arrived, Ironhold was in flames, outer platforms gone, defense grid crippled. Taran was still alive, barely. I found him in the command bunker, blood seeping from a gut wound. He looked up at me, pale, but his voice steady. "Don't let it end here. Don't give them the RIM." I gripped his hand tight. "They'll get nothing but fire." Taran died that night, one of the last real old warlords. I didn't grieve, not then, no time. Instead, I sent a message across every RIM frequency. "To all free ships, to all fighting men, this is Captain Hale. The Council thinks the RIM will fall without Taran. They are wrong. This fight belongs to all of us now, every system, every ship, every blade. We do not surrender. We do not retreat. We do not break." The response came in waves. Hundreds of ships, thousands of fighters, mercenaries, miners, smugglers, old veterans, ex-Council troops turned rebel. The RIM was rising, and at the heart of it, something else was changing. Intel reached us, smuggled out by sympathizers, core unrest growing, core senators questioning the war, civilian riots, and whispers of betrayal, Council factions turning on each other. We weren't the broken exiles anymore. We were an empire, and as I stood on the Vanguard's bridge, watching the stars of the outer rim glitter beyond the viewport, one truth burned in my mind. The Council cast us out. Now we're coming back, and this time, we take everything. We crossed the line in the 5th year. The line, that was what the old rim charts called it. The invisible border between the wild frontier and the orderly, shining worlds of Council space. For generations, it had been sacred. Untouchable. Now we shattered it. It started with Prios Run, a narrow corridor of FTL lanes threading past Council patrol zones. Suicide route, they said. Too many sensors, too many fleets. But they weren't ready for us. By now our fleets weren't ragged anymore. Not Council polished, no. Rough steel, black hulls, sharp and brutal. Built for war, not display, and crewed by men who didn't fear death. We ran Prios in a tight spearhead. No big ships, corvettes, raiders, cloaked transports. Objective, infiltrate Council rear sectors. Bleed them from within. First target, Karthus Depot, a logistics hub. Fuel, munitions, supplies for the entire 9th Council fleet. We hit it without warning. Midnight strike. No broadcast, no declaration, just war. I led the charge, Vanguard at point. Our breachers blew through the depot's main hangar. Inside, chaos. Council dock crews scrambling, officers shouting. I shot the first one that raised a weapon. No hesitation. Within an hour, Karthus burned. We seized everything useful, wiped the rest, left one message carved in steel across the comm array. Humanity was here. And still we drove deeper. Second strike, Velkar Relay, secondary FTL hub. No Legion here, just standard Council Marines. Trained, disciplined. Didn't matter. We fought through them deck by deck. I remember one Council captain, young, maybe 25, he tried to surrender. I looked him in the eye. "Did you weep when your fleets bombed Ironhold?" He shook his head, defiant even then. I shot him through the heart. No prisoners. By month's end, Council space was in chaos. Supply lines shredded, fleets scrambling, comms fragmented, and panic rising in the core. We intercepted a high-level transmission. Couldn't trace the source, but the voice was clear. A Council admiral. If the humans reach coreward sectors, we will not be able to contain the insurrection. Request immediate reinforcement. Too late. We were already moving. But war isn't just ships and battles. War is what happens after. In Tryon Sector, we liberated a forced labor colony. Thousands of human captives, old exiles, rim-born civilians, Council security risks. What we found, I still see it in my dreams. Camps, cages, people starved, beaten, used like animals. Council guards fled at the first sign of our fleet. Cowards. We took the colony intact, but what we found there changed everything. One old man couldn't have been more than skin and bone. He grabbed my arm, voice shaking. "We thought you were dead. We thought humanity was gone." I knelt beside him. "We're not gone, and we're never leaving again." Word of Tryon spread faster than any battle. Now it wasn't just Rim loyalists rising. Council citizens too, core-born, deep-worlders, saw the truth. The Council had lied. The Council had built its empire on chains, and humanity had returned, not to beg, but to conquer. But for every victory, the enemy sharpened their blades. The Legion adapted. Faster deployment, better counter-insurgency tactics. In Velros Reach, we lost 2 full strike teams to a new variant. Lighter armor, greater speed, almost impossible to track. One of my best operatives, Captain Varek, barely escaped alive. He reported direct to me aboard Vanguard. "They're learning, sir, faster than before, smarter. If we keep bleeding them piecemeal, they'll pin us down." I nodded grimly. "Then we don't give them time. We take the fight to their throat." And that meant one thing: the core itself. For 5 years we'd fought from the shadows, out here in the Rim, on the edge, but no more. We gathered the fleets, every Rim warband, every rebel cell, every free ship, hundreds of hulls, not a Council armada, no, but ours. Men who'd lost everything. Men who burned for vengeance. In the final War Council, I stood before them. The Council banished us. They hunted us. They sent monsters to kill us. Now we send them a message they can't ignore. We're coming to the core, and we will break them. No hesitation. Fleet mobilized. Objective, Saros Gate. Saros Gate, one of the main hyperlane junctions into the core sectors. Heavily defended, fleets, stations, Legion presence confirmed. I didn't care. We jumped in at high burn. No stealth, no surprise, an open challenge. Council forces responded fast. 5 capital ships. Legion dropships inbound. We hit them with everything. The first pass, railguns punched through their line. Torpedoes ripped their cruisers apart. Fighter wings danced through the flak. I led the main thrust. Vanguard battering straight into their command cluster. Close quarters, brutal. At one point we were broadside to a Council dreadnought. Cannons blazing. I stood on the bridge, shouting orders through smoke and chaos. "No retreat! Press the line! Crush them!" Hours of slaughter. And when it ended, Saros Gate was ours. The path to the core lay open, and as the fleet regrouped, battered but unbroken, I stood at the viewport. Beyond, the stars of the core glittered. I spoke aloud, to no one, to everyone. "You cast us out. You called us savages. Now you will see the strength exile forged. Humanity is coming home." We held Saros Gate for 3 days. That was all it took. In 3 days, every comm channel across the core lit up with panic. Civilian transports fleeing. Council emergency broadcasts. Core fleet admirals screaming for reinforcements. But no one could move fast enough. We'd smashed the hyperlane control hubs. The Council's neat, orderly grid. Fractured. Every gate route they relied on now swarmed with Rim raiders, trap mines, black flag squadrons. Council space, the heart of the galaxy, was bleeding. And we drove straight into the wound. First target Kalor Nexus, a jewel of the core, massive orbital cities, council palaces, wealth beyond imagining. Our scouts reported civilian panic, no full fleet presence. They didn't expect us to breach this deep. Fools. We jumped in at high burn. No subtlety now. The whole galaxy knew we were here. Their defense fleet was smaller than Intel had claimed. Hastily scrambled, disorganized. Rich corps admirals, all dress uniforms and politics, no war-hard edge. We tore through them. Vanguard's cannons shredded the lead cruiser on the first pass. Fighter wings crippled their carrier before it could even launch. We hit the orbital banks next, those towering spires of council wealth. No mercy. Explosions rippled through Kalor's skies. The council called it terrorism. We called it justice. But the civilians? That was different. Not all were innocent. Plenty had cheered our exile. Plenty had voted for the resolution that cast humanity into the black. But not all. I issued orders. Military targets only. No mass civilian slaughter. Let them see. We are not the monsters they made us out to be. The men obeyed. Barely. Too much rage in them now. 5 years of blood doesn't drain easy. We left Kalor burning, but not broken. A message. We can reach you. We can take your worlds. You are no longer safe. After Kalor, the tide surged. Systems fell faster now. Velos Reach, Draken Coraline, Tyros Spires, fleet after fleet, shattered. Council governors abandoning their posts. Council citizens surrendering by the millions. Some even joining us. That was the shift. The Council's greatest lie, that the core was united, cracked wide open. I watched the shift unfold from the Vanguard's war room, reports streaming in. Sector governor executed by his own guard. Civil uprisings in core world arcologies. Council fleet commander defected, bringing 3 cruisers. Taran would have grinned to see it. Humanity wasn't just surviving anymore. We were winning. But victory breeds desperation. The Council unleashed their final weapon, the Prime Legion, not clones, not vat-grown fodder, volunteers, core citizens, elite, indoctrinated, armor more advanced than anything we'd seen, neural combat links, no fear, no hesitation, and they threw them straight at us. First engagement, Koros Junction. We'd taken the station barely an hour before, fleet resupply, minimal defenses. Then the Prime Legion hit. Dropships black as void, silent. They breached the hull in under 2 minutes. I was on the deck when they came through. Blades, pulse rifles, neural-linked squads moving like one mind. I'd fought for 5 years straight, thought I'd seen it all. I was wrong. We lost Koros Junction. Had to blow the reactor just to keep it from their hands. But we learned. Every defeat, a lesson. Every loss, a new tactic. Within a week, we'd adapted. EMP nets, jamming fields, neural disruption waves. The next time we met the Prime Legion, Tyros Bastion, we held the line. Barely. By now, the Council's core sectors were in freefall, fleet command fractured, core world governors forming private armies, some pledging loyalty to us just to survive. We had no time to sort friend from foe. If they resisted, they burned. If they submitted, they bent the knee. Simple. And then, the moment we'd bled 5 years for. Target, Aros Prime, the Council's throne world, the seat of their power, their shining jewel. Intel was clear. Heaviest defenses in the galaxy, dozens of fleets, the Prime Legion massed in full strength, planetary shields at max. In the war room, my captains looked at me. No one flinched. 5 years of exile had forged them hard. "What's the plan, sir?" Varric asked. I stood, voice cold, certain. "We take it. No matter the cost. Fleet prepped, armories stripped bare. Every man knew this was it. No retreat, no fallback. Aros Prime or death. And as we jumped in, fleet engines blazing, I stood on the Vanguard's bridge, watching the stars shift. I spoke one truth, for the crew, for myself, for every man and woman who'd bled for this moment. They banished us. They hunted us, Now we come home. And we take it all. Eros Prime. It filled the Vanguard's viewport. A world of silver spires, layered cities, orbital rings thicker than any station I'd ever seen. The heart of the Council. The place that had signed our exile decree. And now, the place we would break. Our fleet came in hard. No stealth this time. No subtlety. We wanted them to see us coming. I stood on the Vanguard's command deck as the first wave hit atmosphere. Status? Varric read off the feed. Voice tight, focused. Council defense grid online. Dozens of heavy platforms. Shield towers at max. Multiple fleets inbound. Prime Legion confirmed. Ground and orbital. Good. That's what we came for, I said. Phase 1. Orbital breach. We'd learned from Kalor, from Koros, from every fight before this. Hitting the core's pride meant hitting it all at once. Space, sky, and ground. First, the platforms. Vanguard led the charge. Railguns thundering, torpedoes screaming. Council gunners fought hard. Shields flared, hulls cracked, debris rained down on the planet below. I watched one of their great orbital towers, Spire 1, crumble under coordinated fire. 1,000,000 tons of steel and glass falling like a comet. Phase 2, shield disruption. Aros Prime's planetary shields were no joke, multi-layered, harmonically modulated, impossible to brute force. So we didn't. Our Black Ops teams had been working for months, infiltrating the planetary undergrid, planting charge clusters on key nodes. At H-hour plus 12, they triggered. Shockwaves rippled through the shield matrix. For 7 minutes, the upper layer flickered. 7 minutes was all we needed. Drop zones went hot. I led the first wave down, Vanguard's assault bays packed with strike craft, breacher teams, mechanized armor. We hit Sector 6, a key Council military district, home to their central command nexus. Landing was hell. A A-fire stitched the skies. Prime Legion squads already dug in, streets barricaded, air choked with smoke and plasma bursts. I hit ground running, pulse rifle in hand. Varric at my side, Rorden leading the second squad. Street fighting on Aros Prime made every rim battle look clean. These weren't green conscripts or soft-core guards. This was the Legion's best, and they fought like it. First hour, 30% casualties. Second hour, city blocks reduced to slag. By the fourth hour, we'd secured the outer defense ring. Barely. We regrouped in the shell of a council barracks. Men bloodied, ammo low, bodies piled in every corridor. Varric handed me a blood-smeared datapad. Update. Main shield nexus partially compromised. Eastern flank holding. Western flank under Legion counterattack. I glanced up at the smoke-choked sky. Dropships still streaming down. Council fleet still engaging ours in low orbit. No turning back, I said. Varric grinned through the grime on his face. Wouldn't have it any other way. Phase 3. Command Decapitation. The Council's high command, the bastards who had signed our death warrant, were here. Buried beneath Council Spire Prime, a fortress within the capital arcology, heavily shielded, Legion guarded, and the one place we had to take. By now the battle raged across the entire planet, sector after sector falling, civilians fleeing in droves, not that there was anywhere left to run. I rallied what forces we had, veterans from every front, survivors of the worst fights the Rim had seen. I looked them in the eyes. This is it. They banished us. They tried to break us. Now we break them. No cheers, just grim nods. These were men who'd bled too much to waste words. We advanced, block by block, room by room, every inch paid for in blood. Legion forces fought like demons. No surrender, no retreat. I lost good men at every turn. Rorden, gone. Ambushed on the lower levels. Varric, wounded, but refused to leave the line. By the time we reached Spire Prime's outer gates, less than half of us remained. Didn't matter. We'd come too far. I led the final breach myself. Charges on the gate, detonation timed to the millisecond. Steel and fire tore the entrance apart. Inside, hell, Prime Legion Elite, neural-linked, heavily shielded, fighting as one. We fought harder. I don't remember how many I killed. Too many. Not enough. The corridors ran red with blood. Theirs and ours. When we finally reached the command hall, only a handful of us remained. And there they were. Council High Command, huddled behind shattered walls, surrounded by dead Legion. The same faces from the exile decree. The same voices that had called humanity a threat to galactic peace. I raised my rifle. This is for Earth, and fired. One by one they fell, no mercy. The last, an old counselor, trembling. He tried to beg. I shot him mid-sentence. Justice. Outside, Aros Prime burned. The Council fleet shattered. Legion forces routed. Human banners, black star on red, flew over the capital spires. 5 years of exile, 5 years of blood. And now, victory. I stood atop the ruined balcony of Spire Prime as the sun rose over a broken city. Varek limped to my side, bandaged, scorched, but alive. He looked at me. It's over, I shook my head. No. It's just beginning. Because now, we didn't just fight to survive. Now, we ruled. The fires of Eros Prime burned for weeks. Smoke drifted through the shattered spires, staining the once pristine sky. Council banners lay trampled beneath the boots of our soldiers, and the screams, gods, the screams, echoed through the ruins. Victory had a sound. It wasn't cheers. It was the silence that came after the killing stopped. We buried our dead first. No grand speeches, no parades, just names burned into steel, plates welded onto the wreckage of Council Spire Prime, a memorial of iron and blood. After that, the new work began. Occupation, purge, control. The Council wasn't dead yet, not entirely. Remnants of their fleet still scattered across core space. Legion units in hiding, civil governors trying to rally loyalists. We crushed them one by one. I issued the standing order myself. No negotiations. No half measures. You resist, you die. Some thought it was too harsh. Varek even said it, one night as we walked the ruined avenues of the capital. We're not like them, he said. We can be better. I stopped, looked him in the eye. That choice ended 5 years ago. He didn't argue after that, because he knew. If we hesitated now, even for a moment, the old council order would rise again, and we hadn't bled the rim dry just to watch core world politicians slither back into power. So the purges began. Council data vaults, hacked, loyalist networks, exposed, agents and sympathizers hunted. In a month, the old Senate was gone. What was left of the Council High Command publicly executed in the central square. Their deaths streamed across every network, every system still under Council control. Message clear: humanity rules now. Bow or burn. And most of them bowed. Across the rim, across the core sectors, human banners flew. New governors, veterans of the war, trusted captains, installed. Old council laws, stripped away. Council currency, worthless. In its place, a new order, forged in exile, tempered in blood. We called it the Pact of Iron, a single charter, written in the war room of the ruined spire. The rim shall never bow to the core again. Human sovereignty above all. The Council's crimes shall not be forgotten, nor forgiven. I signed it first. Every surviving warlord after me. It wasn't peace, it was a warning. But even in victory, the wounds ran deep. Whole core sectors were ash. Rim colonies bled dry from the long war. Population losses in the billions. I toured the refugee zones myself. Saw the faces of those who'd lost everything. Men with hollow eyes, children who had never known a world without war. And I understood, clearer than ever, there was no going back. Humanity wasn't the same species the Council had exiled 5 years ago. We were harder, colder, and if the galaxy feared us now, good. It should. A month after the final purge, a council delegation, some of the surviving fringe members, dared to approach me. They came in a battered shuttle, unarmed, cloaked in white. Peace envoys. They knelt before me in the shattered throne room of the spire. "Captain Hale," their spokesman said, voice trembling, We offer terms. To rebuild, to share governance." I stared at him for a long moment, then drew my sidearm. One shot. Through the skull. His body slumped to the floor. I looked at the others. There will be no shared rule. Humanity bends the knee to no one. You will spread this message to what remains of your kind. They fled. I let them. Sometimes fear spreads better than any fleet, and so the new empire took root. Not perfect, not kind, but strong. Fleet patrols kept order. Rebel cells, crushed. Core world trade, restructured to serve the Rim first. Some whispered it was tyranny. Maybe it was. But it was our tyranny. No more exile, no more council chains. Humanity ruled the outer rim. Humanity ruled the core, and the galaxy would remember. I stood once more on the Vanguard's bridge, orbiting the burned husk of Aros Prime, looking down on the world we had conquered. Varek limped up beside me, armored coat draped over one shoulder. "What now?" he asked quietly. I didn't answer at first, just watched the smoke drift through the void. Finally I spoke. "Now, we rebuild. Our way," I turned. "And if any out there think to challenge us," I smiled, cold, sharp, "let them come. We'll show them what exile forged." Because the Council had taught us one final truth. When you cast humanity into the dark, it comes back as a blade.